What is up, everyone? It's your boy here, TB at SMB, and we're just going to waste no time and jump right into what exactly went down today in the SP 500 and the Nasdaq 100. We got a nice solid green day today on the SP 500, about 0.75% up. And the Nasdaq also logged in a nice little green day. Let's see exactly how much. Almost 1% green on the Nasdaq. And if we look at yesterday was a little bit of a weird day. We had some very green open yesterday. We gap up, we run right up to 39.50, bounced off of that, and we sold off like all of those gains yesterday. We had a nasty looking falling star up here. So what this does for us is very helpful. We know exactly where sellers are sitting at right now, and now with that pullback, we know where buyers are sitting at. So we are sitting in a nice little spot here on the S&P 500. We know we have buyers around this 38.80 region, or even better, 38.90, I would say. And another thing worth mentioning today was we also had this green on very low volume, but this is to be expected because you guys, as you should know, as it should be marked on everyone's calendar, we got CPI coming in on Thursday. So we did have sort of solid volume, not great, nothing terrible. It's not the lowest we've seen, but it's also just not strong. And I don't really make a whole lot of that. I think it was just because we have CPI coming out in 2 days. So with that said, we have to be very careful tomorrow. We know these days before CPI can be very slow, very low volume. They can just be absolute theta decay days where market makers just make a fortune ruining your options because you're trying to trade on a very low volume, low liquidity day, and you can just get wrecked. So I would implore everyone to try to not do that. But if we do get some nice movement tomorrow, I am right now personally looking to the upside. I know I said I'm very bearish right now in general on the market, but this price action, that's part of being a trader. You cannot just ignore the price action for the sake of your own biases. This price action is looking very bullish. So we got that breakout. I remember telling you guys about this. I said this was a big bear flag, but if we break out of it to the upside, it still must be respected. And sure enough, we broke out of it to the upside, and then we broke out of this consolidation box that we were stuck in for like 12 trading sessions. So I said that too. I said, hey, if we consolidate so much, all this sideways consolidation, once we finally pick a direction, it will be a big move. And sure enough, we did make a solid move out of this, but I'm still expecting a bigger push to the upside, and I will tell you exactly where I am expecting that. So if we look at our daily chart, this 200-day moving average, boom, baby, it's right there. We're sitting right there. Let's go back to SPX. I know I always switch between charts. That 200-day moving average is sitting right there at 39.89, or basically 4,000. And that is huge because, as I've said before, we've rejected off of that twice, 3 times, 4 times. We've rejected off of that 200-day moving average a lot. And right above that 200-day moving average, we have our big old yearly trend line, this big, let's make it nice and big so everyone can see it, big pink nice trend line right there that we bounce off of multiple times. So if we do see that breakout above this past resistance of 39.50, I expect we go to fill this gap. We do have a little gap right here. We'll run up, fill that gap, and then I could easily see us finding resistance up around the 4,000 zone. But that is my short-term prediction right now on where we're going. I just simply cannot ignore this price action. I mean, once we broke out of this, we broke out, we go to make a higher high. We saw that pullback yesterday. We come down, we base around here, and then we bounce off of this 38.90, and we have gotten our higher low for the very short-term trend. So the trend right now is to the upside on the short-term end of things, and that is looking nice. And with that said, I expect the Nasdaq to lead the charge to the upside because it did the same thing. It broke out of this nasty consolidation zone that we were in. Broke out. I know I was wrong. I said we'd bounce around and then dump out of it. I was wrong. I admit it. But we broke out to the upside, and now the Nasdaq right here, you can see it. This is just too easy right here. You can see where the sellers are hanging out. They're hanging out in there. They're hanging right around there at 275. So we have to see breakout above that. If we do see breakout above that, I expect some stalling at 278. But a breakout above that would be huge because you can tell how many times we rejected. We rejected off that once. We rejected off it twice, 3 times. 4th time can usually be the break. But a breakout above that, and I see a nice man, I see a nice move on the Nasdaq. I could see a super strong move on the Nasdaq if I'm being completely honest. I could see a move immediately up to 280-ish on the Nasdaq if we break above that. And now 280 is going to be a very critical level because that is where our support was way back over here. We had that support. I'll make it nice and big. Everyone can see it. We had this support right here. You saw where the Nasdaq pull up, bounce, pull back, bounce, pull back, bounce, pull back, bounce. Once we finally broke it, that's when we dumped. So those levels, those past supports can become present resistances or future resistances. So that is kind of my price target on the Nasdaq, and then we'll be back in this little dynamic supply zone that we've been selling out of all year, this big red box. But that's kind of what I'm seeing on the Nasdaq. And really, tech is just in such a spot to bounce right now. If you look around everywhere around the market, you will see all these stocks are near their lows. We have Amazon. Amazon's breaking out. This is a really good play to the upside, in my opinion, right now. I love Amazon to the upside. We have a nice little falling wedge. It looks like we broke out of it today. It could be a little fake out, so I'm going to wait and see tomorrow and the day after. But I imagine the breakout from this will rip Amazon up to about the $95 range. And then above that, we have $97. If we can get above that, we have a big gap to fill on Amazon. And Amazon is just primed to see a bounce. But we are also in a channel. So we have a little bit of a falling wedge within this channel. We could bounce off the top of this line up here and just stick around in this channel for a while. But I could see Amazon making a little run to about $100 or close to that. If you look at Google, Google's also near its bottom. If you look at Tesla, obviously Tesla is at its bottom. I mean, Jesus Christ. Tesla is sold down so bad. It's ready to bounce. Apple, we're at its lows on Apple too, near the lows on Apple. And Apple also had a really nice setup. It had this nice little falling wedge. We broke out of it, and we've gotten that higher high with a higher low, looking like we're back in that little uptrend for the time being on Apple. But yeah, all around, I'm seeing really bullish setups. I mean, Friday changed it. Friday was a very bullish day. So Friday, when you got that rippage on Friday, that was a strong green day, nice volume on everything. That can't be ignored. Yeah, that's what I'm seeing right now. So let's talk about the CPI report. CPI. We are expecting to see that yearly CPI number, that like inflation rise CPI number. We're expecting to see that at about 6.5%. That's a headline number for December. That'd be lower than the 7.1% that we had back in October. I think analysts, or I know analysts, are expecting about a 0.1 to 0.2% month over month increase in that headline CPI. But some analysts are expecting 0. Some are expecting negative 0.1%. So if we saw deflation month over month on that CPI headline number, that, in my opinion, could be a crazy bullish event, because that is just fantastic. Obviously, inflation is so low, prices are going down, which is great for the consumer. But that's really what we're looking at. But what's worrying about that is that those are really, really, really optimistic estimates. So we've seen that before, where they go and they make these estimates that are like crazy optimistic, and it almost sets the market up for failure, because then if they're too optimistic and we get like a 0.3% month over month, which might be a little tick up from last month, then the entire narrative is done. The entire narrative that inflation is just melting away slowly on its own. If we see a little uptick from November, that could be a shock. That could be a real shock to the market, and we could be seeing a lot of dumping. Because right now the market is straight up just ignoring the Fed. If you look around at the U.S. 10-year, you look around the bond market, bonds yields are coming down. But the Fed, every time they're on TV, they send their people out. They're on TV, left and right. They're going, the labor market's too tight. We're still jacking up rates. We're going to hold rates longer. We still think inflation's too sticky, yada, yada, yada. They keep coming out and giving us that talk. And we've seen this in the past, where they will come out and talk and talk and talk and talk and try to get the bond market to do what it wants. But the bond market just isn't, they're not sipping on what they're serving them right now. The bond market is just like, we are not listening. It's done this before too. And it's scary when the bond market does this, because it's done this multiple times this year. And it usually doesn't end too well, because then the Fed does come out and they are like, yeah, we're going to do what we said. And the bond market's like, oh, no, we didn't think you'd do it. And that's really what I'm seeing right now. If we look at the VIX right now is at a scary spot. I mean, it's hard to imagine a big rally when the VIX is already down here in the mid 20s. We're at $20.50 right now on the VIX. We're back in that little supply, that demand zone where it gets bought out of. It's done this all year. And we are really, really low on the VIX. So that's pretty worrisome, because when there's only so much room to the downside on the VIX, it's very hard for the market to rally because that VIX number just gets so low. And it usually bounces when it gets this low. If we had VIX sitting up at like 28 right now, I'd be like, oh yeah, there's all sorts of room to the downside. But the VIX has just been bleeding recently. I mean, it's hardly even bounced at all. It came down here, it bounced up to like 25, and then we're just coming back down. I mean, VIX is screaming short right now. The VIX right now, if you were to just look at nothing else but the VIX, it is screaming at you to get puts right now. But I just cannot ignore what the price action is telling me. But that is like the one thing in my head that has me worried, that has me thinking that this could just be a big, huge bull trap if we see that CPI number come in super low. I mean, we saw that last CPI report. We saw the inflation was lower than expected. And what the market do? It just dumped. I mean, it dumped all day, and it dumped from that day on. 4,100 tapped it, and we just went straight down, all the way down to 3,800. I mean, a monster dump. So that is what we're dealing with here. I mean, this is the stock market of now. This is the modern stock market, man. It's crazy. So it could just be a big, nasty bull trap, and that has me worried. But when you look around and you see where tech is right now, you see tech is just near its lows. I mean, it's really hard to imagine that tech can just continue to suffer for the short term right now. I'm waiting until earnings. I think once earnings come out, tech will be it will go straight down. But we don't have those earnings coming out for at least a couple more weeks. So we could see a nice couple week big rally. But I'm still, as of now, I'm still pretty bearish once we start to see how bad earnings for these companies has been getting hammered by the interest rate hikes. But yeah, this is what I'm looking at. So we have that CPI number coming out on Thursday. Mark the calendar, 5:30 a.m. Pacific time. I know it sucks for us on the west side, but we also have other data coming out, I believe, on Friday. We have that Michigan consumer confidence sentiment, consumer sentiment comes out on Friday, so that's always a big mover. If that comes in way worse than we expect, that's going to be a big mover. But really, big news is that CPI, and then we have some unemployment data coming out. But yeah, that's what it's looking at. That's what it's looking like right now. So be careful out there. I'm not buying anything long term. I'm just thinking will be a tradable rally. Another thing I must mention about the S&P 500 is this 30-minute, the sell signal, buy signal, the system. This 50 moving average on the 30-minute is right here at 38.90 as well. So we will see that confluence where we have that right on top of that level. So if we do see a nice pullback and we bounce off of that, that is a huge, fantastic opportunity to buy some calls on the S&P 500. Same idea on the Nasdaq. The Nasdaq is a little higher above it, but yeah, as of right now, if we bounce off of that, that's going to be huge. And I think we could see a crazy rally from here because, like I said, when you see so much consolidation, you see this nasty consolidation. Once you finally break out of it, the move tends to be big. So keep that in mind. I hope you guys learned something from this. If you didn't, leave a comment and tell me I suck. No, but thanks for watching. Drop a like and a sub and a comment. I really appreciate it. And we will see you tomorrow. I think unless it's like a really slow day, but no, I'll upload a video. But then Thursday, I plan on live streaming the CPI release. I will be getting up early for that. I want to see how the market reacts to that and cook up a nice trading strategy for that day because I personally think that will be a great trading day. These CPI days tend to be. So drop a sub and hit the bell for that little live stream I'll do. And maybe I'll do a little live trading. Who knows? But yeah, thanks for watching, guys.